interrupt this program for an important news announcement.
Welcome to the third episode of the podcast. I'm surprised we haven't been canceled yet. So we live another day. This episode is a little bit different. It's more random as far as topics go. I know the first one is based off of the topic originally that I had in mind, which was exploring abandoned buildings. So we'll start off with that.
The Old Washoe Club.
If it's too loud, let me know.
The Old Washoe Club in Virginia City, Nevada is over 150 years old. In the Wild West of Nevada in the 1860s, the club was originally a house of debauchery for super wealthy men. They would drink, gamble, and partake of the club's, quote, women of the night. It is said that many of these women lost their lives at the hands of some of the more violent and intoxicated upper-class patrons. Some believe that the souls of the women who passed away there still wander the Old Washoe Club to this day. As for other spirits who are said to inhabit the Old Washoe Club, the spirit of a 10-year-old girl named Gretchen who was trampled by a stagecoach in front of the saloon is also said to haunt the second floor of the Old Washoe Club. And the dark and tragic history of the club doesn't end there. In 1982, a man named Scotty took his own life on the third floor of the building. Workers and visitors say that they often hear his spirit pacing back and forth on the third floor, mumbling to himself. And he's sometimes even spotted standing at the top of the club's staircase. Ghost hunters Ryan, River, Wyatt, and Nick from the popular ghost hunting channel Twin Paranormal visit the Old Washoe Club to do an overnight investigation. Throughout the night, the team's equipment fails and shuts off multiple times.
It's dead. Dead. Like critical dead.
How? There's no way.
And they hear creepy footsteps and unexplained sounds.
What was that? That was a cough.
If it's one of the girls, make a knock. Was that you?
No way.
Was that you? Was that you?
No, I swear.
You?
None of us.
Oh my God.
We were standing completely still.
We're gonna play your song. We're gonna play your song.
And that's just a tiny sample of all the strange sounds that they capture inside the Old Washoe Club. Even creepier, when all the guys go into the downstairs ballroom to do a spirit box session, their static camera that's pointed at the staircase captures something downright chilling.
What was that? Abandoned. What do you mean abandoned? This place was? You were? How are you feeling right now? Are you happy? Are you sad?
A bizarre shadow figure seems to walk right up to the staircase and then just sort of retreats or disappears back out of sight. This is the same spot where many witnesses claim to have seen the apparition of Scotty, the man who took his own life in the room at the top of these very stairs. The Twin Paranormal team heads up those stairs to the room where Scotty passed away. That's when things take a terrifying turn.
The room. Oh my God, dude.
That just gave
Oh
me
my
chills.
God, me too.
That
Gave me chills. Holy crap! Guys, something was just standing there and it like morphed into an orb and it flew that way. As soon as you turned around, literally as soon as somebody... Get out! Get out! Get out!
Turn around. Look at the sign.
Get out! What was that?
No.
What was that?
The camera.
The camera's on the ground! No! It's on the ground. Oh my God. The action cam flew off. It said get out. Ah! Oh! No, 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 no. No, no, no. What the? Yo, give me your camera. No, 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 no. Hey guys, we're not.
Calm down. Calm down.
You're kidding. No, we didn't do anything wrong. Look, I don't have nails, okay? Look, there's no way that I could have done this to myself. No f***ing way.
I can hear it in your voice.
Like, I can swear to you guys. Oh, you're kidding. No, 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 don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Hold on. Hold on. The screen is cracked. Look, guys, no string. There's no string. This is real. 100% real.
First, Ryan sees something he can't explain on the other side of the room. The spirit box says, "Get out." Then one of their cameras sitting at the top of the staircase flies off its tripod, smashing the camera's screen. Then out of nowhere, River gets scratched by something on his left side. 3 long scratches that go all the way from his ribs to his hip. River shows that he has no nails and wouldn't have been able to scratch himself in any way. So did the Twin Paranormal team capture one of the angry spirits that seemed to be stuck at the old Washoe Club after meeting a tragic fate? Or could these seemingly violent apparitions be something more sinister? Let me know what you think. You can follow Twin Paranormal's continuing investigation of the old Washoe Club over on their YouTube channel, where they capture even more strange activity. So be sure to check it out.
What do you guys think about that?
A lot happened at once right there at the end. It's kind of hard for me. Well, sometimes when I feel like a lot is happening, then it's kind of like seems fishy to me, but it's kind of hard to fake some of that stuff. So I don't know.
I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused. Do they use a special box that speaks?
Yes.
Okay, and I've never heard about this, so
it's how should I put it? Supposedly it channels through certain wave frequencies that we cannot understand or hear, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of like sonar from whales type of deal, where you could hear them with the special machine that you can't hear with your normal ear. That type of thing. I'm sure someone else is going to correct me on YouTube. So, yeah.
Well,
What'd you say, Steve?
I was gonna say I saw like that like, was it like on his phone? That like that thing he was carrying. It looked like it was a phone screen.
Let me see.
Yeah.
That.
Whatever this is.
Yeah.
Is plugged into the phone through an app, which.
Oh, I see. I didn't notice that.
You could either buy that with the adapter to your phone, or you could buy the actual device, battery operated, wireless, and all that crap. So,
what's the official name of the? Sorry, what's the official name of the thing that they use? I've never heard of it.
I've heard of it before too. It's a something box.
Spirit box.
Yeah, that something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of them too, and I've seen them, but I thought that was odd.
Seem fishy to me. I don't know. Like
I agree with the,
or like it's kind of like a stretch into like trying to make something that's not really there.
I agree at the end, like everything that happened all at once. I'm like, that's a lot happening all at once. Like sounds, the falling, the scratch. I'm like, that's just a lot to happen all of a sudden.
But how can you explain away the camera falling?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's like just shit that happened all at once. All of a sudden, they could have figured something out. I mean, because right after that falls, he gets scratched, and like he's actually right in front of the camera, like behind it, like the camera's facing him, but he's like their backs are to each other. Maybe when he got scratched,
doesn't he say at like one point like a orb flew around, so you kind of distract you to go look at that orb while the camera falls, and then he gets scratched, and so you're kind of like looking at 3 different directions at once.
Yeah, because at some point when he like mentioned the orb thing, they're like, "Oh, look at that behind him," and then they ignored that because all of a sudden the camera falls and he gets scratched. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just a lot all of a sudden altogether.
Yeah, overall, I'm really skeptical about these kind of guys who like have a YouTube channel because they make money off of it. So it always seems like they need to catch something, as opposed to maybe just someone who lives in a haunted home and they're just trying to film what is happening inside of the house.
I was gonna say, how come they didn't have like people that like that used to work there or work there if it's like a museum or something, like interview?
Yeah.
Like, how do they all of a sudden get to spend the night there? You kind of have to, I think you have to ask permission to do that or something.
Something. What do you think, Zach? I know you're somewhere there in the ether.
I joined a little late in the video, so I didn't
get
to see the beginning. But yeah, I mean, I guess I agree with the others that there was a lot kind of all going on at once. Kind of seemed like maybe like a planned climax to the video. So
the third.
I guess I could definitely.
Scared.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Not bad. Let's play the next one and see where this lands.
Lesson learned. Gabriel Martinez Navarro posted a very creepy video to his Facebook page that shocked thousands of viewers. In the video, Gabriel explains that he's on his way to the abandoned Benito Juarez school on a desolate road outside his hometown of Guadalupe, Mexico. He claims that he has seen a video of a small ghost hunting group who went to the long-abandoned school and captured an unexplained voice that said, quote, "It hurts so much." Gabriel is very skeptical of the alleged haunting and decides to go investigate the school himself in the middle of the night and all alone. I probably don't even need to say this, but it did not go well.
Esta es la escuela. La escuela San Benito Juárez. La 1954. Pues ya vieron, güey. Puro pinche pedo, no hay ni madres a la verga. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, no mames. No mames. ¿Qué es esto?
Mexicans, am I right?
Gabriel enters one of the abandoned school's classrooms. On the side of the room, there are stacks of what appear to be old rusted school desks. Suddenly, a heavy plank seems to slide down on its own before it falls hard on the concrete floor. Then the entrance door, Gabriel's only way out, slams shut. After gathering his courage, he slowly makes his way towards the door to leave the school grounds. That's when things get truly bizarre.
¿Quién es? ¿Quién es? ¿Qué vergas pregunto, güey?
Did you see it? A sound startles Gabriel and he turns around, and on the left side of the doorframe, barely visible on camera, a face appears, sending Gabriel running in fear. The small face appears to be that of a child, its glowing eyes staring at Gabrielle from the dark.
That's one tall child.
So did Gabrielle actually capture the paranormal activity that he was so skeptical about? Or is it just an elaborate hoax? You decide.
Boom. All right, what do you guys think about that?
I have a lot to say about that one.
Of course you do.
There was a lot happening. He goes there by himself in the middle of the night, which already seems skeptical to me. And then when he's like opening the door and looking out, he doesn't look fully to his right, and then like steps in a ways before turning around, and then you see like a little head peeking out. It just all seems really skeptical to me. Like there's someone else got to be there.
But wouldn't you have heard the noise of the other person running away from that spot? Like noises of him moving to and from, given that there were leaves, branches, and sticks?
That's true. I don't know. There was a lot of heavy breathing too that I could have covered it up. I don't know. What does anyone else think?
His response seemed
I don't know. I thought it was more believable than the previous one.
All right.
It had me a little bit like uneasy, I guess.
It hits home.
I don't know. I get the sense that he really was.
It does
scared.
hit home.
With all the hyperventilating, I thought he was gonna pass out.
I thought he was gonna throw up because he was like breathing in too hard and stuff. But
Mexicans don't play; they take it seriously.
But if I was him, as skeptical as I was, wouldn't I go during broad daylight so that way I wouldn't get jumped, shot, or something?
I mean,
Not
I would
wrong.
never go there in
Not
the middle of
wrong.
the night by myself. That seems so I don't know.
Unrealistic, right? To go by
Yeah.
himself, yeah.
I mean, that whole plank that moved at the very beginning on its own, like it moved a bit and then it fell off. I thought that, I'm like, that's random considering he's alone, in the entire place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's super random. His talking made it hard just because I'm like, fuck, I'm at home and this is how we talk at home. So I thought that was kind of funny. But I'm like, this dude is fucking breathing hard.
Yeah.
If you weren't watching what you were hearing, you would have thought it was something else. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
It's fair.
But
Fair.
anyways, I don't know what to think, but I do know that in Mexico there's a lot of witchcraft.
Yeah.
Especially in the smaller towns and such, just because there's a lot of skepticism, there's a lot of legends of this and that happens to be still going. But yeah, I'm 50-50 on that. I'm kind of leaning towards Joe with the whole there could have been someone else, but wouldn't you hear them running up to the spot and then running away?
It's true. I mean, since he was alone, besides his breathing, you would think you could hear movement, like that plank falling, or the door shutting.
Yeah.
Like you heard that because he was alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like abandoned. There's like it's creaky and shit, and there's just like a bunch of random stuff you could step on, you could hear, or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like you would hear that if he wasn't alone, but I don't know.
Yeah, and another thing too is like that face at the end would be like your money shot if you were trying to like fake this. So why was it such a shitty shot? Like I feel like that.
Hey Ghost, can you come back? It's a shitty shot. I need to get a better
shitty money shot.
That's the other thing. Like,
Do it for the vine.
all this stuff is happening. The door closes. The plank or whatever, and then he starts asking like, "Who's there?" Do you really think like I wouldn't be asking anybody?
No, I'd be.
If you're asking questions, expect an answer. But
yeah, you might get one.
But his his responses were pretty accurate. That's probably what my cousins would say and shit.
I would say that in both languages.
For real. Yep.
Holy pinche shit. Anyways, let's get to the next clip. Hang on, this volume thing moved, but this one seems interesting. Or not.
In the cellar. Realtor and single mom Ashley Kettering
Nice.
from Loveland, Colorado usually posts videos about her experiences as a realtor. But one night on November 12th, while she and her 5-year-old were fast asleep in bed, Ashley got a movement notification from her living room security camera. When she checks the footage, she is shocked. Now, Ashley Kettering claims that she has no pets and therefore has no clue what the strange figure creeping from her basement could be. She also explains that her basement windows have sensors on them, so nothing or no one could have gotten inside without her knowing. Concerned viewers on TikTok ask Ashley to move her camera to film down the basement stairs. When she does, she captures something absolutely horrifying.
Yeah, shit my
Again, a
pants.
small, unexplained figure seems to creep around the bottom of the basement stairs. Due to digital compression, it's pretty hard to tell exactly what the figure could be. So what did Ashley catch on her basement stairs? Is it something paranormal? Or is it just an elaborate hoax? You decide.
All right. Let's try to debunk this one. Kids.
Well, I don't want to be the one to say it, but what if it's just like a raccoon or something? But I'm also not gonna lie, that one kind of creeped me out more than the other two. Like thinking that there's some weird paranormal thing living in your basement is just terrifying.
Without paying rent in these times, of course. Man, the way it slithered didn't give me the feeling that it was an animal. It was like a floating thing that
It was going like in
manifested eyes.
circles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
It
one
had
got
eyes, too.
I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say not often. Even animals like move their head around in circles. Just because.
But what kind of animal would that be? Would it be a dog? I don't think it
And-
looked like a dog.
The eyes
Why-
were too wide set, though. Let me go back.
Yeah,
Why did it just stay at the
I
bottom?
think weird.
Is it just
I feel like an animal would like go up the stairs or something. Like, why would it stay
They
right
wouldn't-
at the
they
an
bottom?
wouldn't
elaborate
go up the
hoax?
steps and then come
You
back.
just
Yeah.
So it went around like this, and then it just, for a split second, then it just went away. So it came from wherever this spot was, if I can rewind it.
Well, she said she had sensors on her
So
window.
what did Ashley catch on her basement stairs? Is it something paranormal? Or is it just an elaborate hoax? You decide.
Whatever it is, it's
It has eyes
yeah.
or something.
You can still see part of whatever this curled thing is. So it could be a Dementor for all you Harry Potter fans out there.
Put in your basement.
Right? What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, it seemed pretty scary. Would have been hard to fake, but I guess it depends. I mean, I think the only thing small enough that she had was her kid, but I mean, how do you teach a kid to act, demonic or something? So
It crossed my mind
don't
for
know.
a second.
yeah.
Do what you normally do on a Friday night. Okay.
Your mom's YouTube channel, for the TikTok. Hey kid, go to the bottom of the stairs.
Well, I don't know. It looked like she used an app to make her eyes look a little bigger, so maybe she has an app to do this.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Something. You look like one of those like those what do you call those? Anime characters.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the guy from Death Note, I think, down there.
Could be.
Could be.
All right, let's go on to the next. Let me see. Come on. And or I should just press play, but you know.
Paranormal investigators Kevin and cameraman Fabio from the YouTube channel Archivo Extinto explore a cemetery in Mexico where mostly children are buried. The graveyard's caretaker believes the cemetery to be extremely haunted. He says that he's only worked at the children's graveyard for 2 years, but in that time, he claims he's heard voices and has seen the ghosts of children playfully running around the gravestones. As host Kevin is telling the caretaker's creepy story, he and cameraman Fabio are interrupted.
Él ya lleva aproximadamente 2 años trabajando en este lugar y nos cuenta que en todo este tiempo ha tenido manifestaciones, incluso en donde él duerme. Nos comentaba que le han bajado. ¿Qué pasó?
No sé, güey, no mames.
¿Se escuchó?
Sí. No sé, ¿no lo
¿Fue
viste?
como un quejido?
Sí.
As Kevin is right in the middle of telling the story about the cemetery's caretaker, a child's faint moan can be heard right behind cameraman Fabio. Fabio quickly turns around, but there's no one there. Kevin begins to ask questions directed at the child spirit that might be following them, and the strange activity begins to intensify.
Niño, si quieres jugar, no seas mamón, güey.
Oh, man.
A tu lado, a tu costado. Sí, hacia allá se escuchó, güey. Se escuchó hacia allá. No mames, cabrón. Otra risa. Fue otra risa, güey.
Even though he's a bit spooked, Archivo Extinto host Kevin begins to taunt the entity to show itself. What happens next is downright chilling.
No tengo miedo absoluto. Te pido que te manifiestes.
This guy.
No seas mamón, güey. Allá, acá.
Fue acá abajo, como.
Acá abajo, güey. No mames. Alguien corrió, güey. ¿Escuchaste?
Alguien corrió, güey.
No mames. Dime qué es lo que quieres, niño. Vete a la chingada.
Oh my God, this guy.
Qué chingados.
Oh, man.
Cameraman Fabio has now had enough and just wants to get out of there. As they are heading towards the graveyard's exit, Kevin reflects on what they have experienced at the creepy cemetery. Fabio pans the camera around one last time and captures something truly terrifying.
Un cementerio lleno de actividad, repleto de manifestaciones paranormales, muchas energías, mucha energía vagando por todas las tumbas,
This guy's retarded.
por todo el sitio, tratando de jugar.
Did you see it? As Fabio pans his camera around to get a quick shot of the cemetery around them, something seems to be standing right behind them. The guys say that they didn't even notice it at the time, but a dark figure seems to be following them as they are leaving the cemetery grounds. YouTube and Facebook viewers believe that it could be the apparition of one of the children buried in the cemetery. But what do you think? You can check out this full video and more creepy investigations over on Kevin and Fabio's YouTube channel, Archivo Extinto.
Before we go, I'm just gonna tell this to Joe. I take back everything I said about Mexicans not doing this type of crap, because clearly we've seen 2 videos where they really test the waters by challenging whatever entity it is to freak them out. Because usually, I when we used to work together, I would tell Joe, you will never see blacks or Mexicans doing this type of stuff. Take that back. just blacks. They don't do this type of stuff because they know better. But go on.
Well, I don't know. They're in Mexico, so I mean, they won't do that shit here, but they might do that shit in Mexico.
True.
Well, see, so my dad used to work at a cemetery in Mexico when he lived there. He used to work at one too. And he said he used to hear and see like just random crazy shit all the time. And like I've been to this cemetery before, like it's actually close to where his like home as a kid was. So we would go by and it's like just like the creepiest shit ever. Like it is like I fucking hated going. It felt bad going. There's like loose random dogs all over the fucking place. It's not kept up.
That's anywhere in Mexico you will find a random dog just
okay,
there for
but
the party.
I'm talking about like a cemetery. I'm like,
true.
And like he used to be one of like the grave diggers. He used to do that shit. And he said he like would see and hear a bunch of like the craziest shit ever. Like he wouldn't recommend anybody working there, but he had to only because just circumstance and shit. But even me going and visiting felt weird, felt off every fucking time. So like when this shit popped up, I'm like, oh fuck, like I feel for this.
You're like, Dad?
For real, I might have to call my dad.
Yeah, I agree with Steve. So my grandpa, my maternal grandpa worked in he worked in a graveyard, also doing the same kind of work.
They work together.
No, my grandpa was in Colombia. So
okay.
And so yeah, like my mom has told me stories of them hearing things because they actually lived pretty close to in a house next to the cemetery, and he was a caretaker of this cemetery. So yeah, they have stories of things they heard, but it never it was never inside of their home though. It was always they would hear it outside or would see something out there, but it was never in their home. So.
Look at you guys. My dad didn't work at a cemetery or anything like that.
Good for you.
We're not gonna go 3 for 3 on this one. But as I told the other group from another podcast a couple episodes ago, it seems like the Hispanics, especially our parents and up, it was like they're part of their lifestyle where they would hear or see stuff and just brush it off as no big deal. Whereas people now, they would crap their pants every time just because they're not used to it. Because my mom had stories of kids levitating in their desks at school, grade school. My dad trying to shoot down this weird creature that was eating the cattle, flying up in the air with human-like, features with like big wingspan, and all the people at the. I don't know if you guys could relate to this, but they lived in a small town where they would have a couple people do shifts to watch over the cattle, so that way the nearby villagers won't come and steal their cattle, or B, the animals like coyotes and stuff won't eat their chickens and stuff, so they would keep watching and do shifts, which is how they were able to my dad was able to tell me that story because my grandpa had a shift that night, and in his 30s he saw whatever it was with the shotgun, and my dad woke up and my grandpa was like, okay, come with me. And with the other villagers, they saw stuff that they shouldn't have seen. With another side story, I actually lost an aunt at the age of 7 due to a witch doctor. Somehow my grandpa was hated in town. Back then, he basically, because he was able to travel the country to and from as much as he pleased, and back then, it still is now, but back then America was like this huge mecca of the epitome of life and everything. So given that in the 60s and 70s, this and that, he was able to do that, and jealousy was grown in the area and stuff, and people just, because they're dumb, hurt people. And the witch doctor came by and threw something at the door and knocked on the door, expecting my grandpa to go open the door. But my aunt beat him to it at the age of 7, breathed whatever that was in, and that was it.
Wow.
My grandpa actually one-upped them by burning his house down with him inside and his family inside at night while they were sleeping. So it worked out. It worked out.
Payback's a bitch.
Yep. They all were cooked. But yeah.
But what else are you supposed to do?
I don't know, but
how do you get justice?
people in Mexico still make their own justice, hence the narcos
true.
and the stuff. Which another side fact.
Yeah, so both my parents grew up also in a small town, and my dad grew up in a farm, and he always had stories about what they called el duende, which is like some type of dwarf type creature. And so he would tell these stories about he wouldn't necessarily do anything bad, but he would braid the horse's hair. So like the horses would have like these very elaborate braids on their tail, and on top of their head that and then like the theory is, or the myth is, that this little creature did it, and it looks like a little boy according to the legend. So.
Similar to Mexico, I would say. There's something like that.
My dad, he's from Mexico City, but Mexico City's just fucking massive. So he's like maybe a 30-minute drive from like the center in Zocalo or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So he's like 30 minutes out. And he used to say, he tells me all the time about this, that when he was younger, he used to run to a cerro and back. So a cerro is like a hilltop or like a cliff all the time. He would run it because he was just like a huge runner when he was younger. And he would say that he would go with his siblings all the time, and they'd run together, but they'd always see like the weirdest and hear like the craziest shit ever on their runs. Like they would go to the top and you could overlook whatever part of the town he was in, and they'd always hear or see really crazy things up there. They said they would hear. He says this a lot, that witches were a thing that was around often, and that
still are.
Yeah, I'm pretty probably are. But he said when he would go on his run, because it would be usually actually later in the day, because that's when school and work was done for him. So he'd go on his run in whatever time of the almost night it was, and they'd go up there. Hear, like he said, you could hear witches chanting, and that would cut their run short, and they'd have to go back home as they heard, and have like said that like people would report people going missing on this run or on this hillside all the time. And I again, being my dad, I was like, no, that's bullshit. Whatever. But I don't know. He sticks to it so much that I'm like, I don't know why you would keep telling me that for years since I was little till now.
Yeah.
Like, why would you be telling me on your fucking run that you're seeing witches or hearing witches? Like, that is that. Like, come on, Dad. Like, I know Santa's not real. Come on.
I guess what ruins it for us, the next generation, for this type of stuff, is that, like I said before, to them it was common. Your dad said he worked at the graveyard. He in his runs and stuff like that, all this and that. So to him was like another one of those instances. For us, it's not as common. If anything, if you're lucky if you see a UFO in real life in your lifetime. So it's one of those things where you tend not to believe it because you see so much science fiction in movies that you go, probably another fake. He's trying to scare me. He saw this movie before and he wanted to like switch a story up to make it, freak me out. because my dad always tells me stories about this I'll call this. It's like this not Mothman, but something to that effect. And I would always go, yeah, whatever. Then one day I was watching the Spanish television channel for some odd reason, and they were having this story where two policemen on bike, because if you're familiar with the downtown in Mexico City, it's so crowded that sometimes you have to meander in bikes. So they said late at night they're always in pairs and they're doing their shifts down the street, and they saw like this old lady in the ground and they wanted to help her up. But when they got closer, they realized that what she had on wasn't a coat, it was just her wingspan just covering her up. And when they went up to get her up, whatever it was turned towards them, snarled, which scared the crap out of them, and she just like took off and flew away. And obviously they went to the news and they got laughed at, until there were other reports weeks later saying they saw something similar at other spots, which back then you had to backtrack all their stories now, because hey, there's more. It's kind of like court, where you have if there's a witness, it's an uphill battle to fight, but if there's 5 witnesses, it's a landslide victory, that type of deal. But yeah, Hispanics have a lot of stories.
Yeah, they do.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think like witchcraft and all that is so prevalent in Mexico versus like the U.S.?
So it's actually prevalent in Central and South America, just like it is in Africa and in the Caribbean. There's a lot
That's
of...
just from pagan religions and things like that it stems from?
It's a mixture of that and a mixture of people wanting to go too extreme on the curiosity of power. And once they've achieved certain power that they know they cannot have, it becomes an addiction. And I know that because there's a few people that in Mexico were curious when they were young, and from the stories that I'm told, over time they just kept diving into it more, and they got more interested in the sense of wanting to actually do these stuff. Astral projection, traveling to multi-dimensions, all that is real in a sense. So once they were able to achieve that, they were starting to get power hungry, wanting to, test it on people, which is where you get people with voodoo dolls and everything like that, just because they're kind of untouchable once you reach a certain level of knowledge of power, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
And
I guess
Marvel now.
why it's...
What's that?
I guess why it wouldn't be like prevalent in the States is because we've had like the what is it all, like the Christian revivals and everything that I guess really didn't go down into the Central America. You've got all like the Amazon
we have like the Salem witch trials and all that shit too.
Yeah.
I just think people in America hide it better. I'm inclined to believe that it is as prevalent here as it is anywhere else. It's just people hide it better, just because technology.
Well, I think that, and then also that, 9 times out of 10, when a girl says she's a witch, it's just some college girl that, the only thing she brews is, a fucking Starbucks. Coffee. Yeah, coffee.
Some crystals and a coffee.
Yeah, because I always see college girls like, oh yeah, I'm Wiccan, or witch. Here's my tarot cards that I picked up from the fucking Walmart toy section.
You might just be a hippie.
So
yeah,
here's my take on that. If it's kind of like how to spot a fake in general. If the person's like really going out of the way to prove themselves that they are this, they're 99 times out of 100 they're not. They're just wanting attention. Because a person that is really, really deep into that stuff keeps it to himself and doesn't want to get noticed, if that makes sense. Because out of fear of getting, killed, hurt, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's why witch doctors in Mexico, you don't know who's who until you actually see, the true demon in front of you. But Joe, I'm sure you don't have any stories like that in your family.
No, we're Italian.
Just all mafia. We shot Capone and this and that. Do it for the family.
That I like to play around with underneath my Harry Potter wands.
So. It's all good.
There we go.
All right, let's move right along to number 1.
High school haunt.
Okay.
After a devastating fire destroyed most of the town of Goldfield, Nevada in 1923, the Goldfield High School was one of only 2 remaining large historical buildings in town. The high school was built in 1907, and although at first it was only a high
I've
school,
heard about this.
eventually it was used to teach children of all ages. It is said that when the school was in operation, the children were often cruelly punished by the school's somewhat sadistic principal. Even darker, a student allegedly passed away from carbon monoxide inhalation in the building's coal room. Goldfield High School was closed in 1953 due to a cracked and weakening foundation. It has remained empty and abandoned for almost 70 years. Locals claim that the building is extremely haunted by both the spirits of the departed principal and her former students. Ghost hunters Tony, Desmond, Caden, Jossam, and Eric from the YouTube channel Ogden Paranormal spend the night at the creepy abandoned school in hopes of capturing evidence of paranormal activity. Soon after they begin to set up their equipment, team member Eric, who is near the former principal's office, begins to feel very ill.
What's going on, bro? I feel like I just got socked in my stomach. I feel so nauseous now.
You feel like you got socked in your stomach?
Yeah. I was just following Caden, trying to figure out where to put this dude.
That was weird. I was walking this way, and he was behind me, and then you just like,
It was just like, whoa. I think he said whoa or something like that, and was just kind of like, almost like he was gonna like stumble, and he just eventually sat down.
You good, E?
I think I need some air, dude.
Yeah, let's get you outside, bro.
I feel so sick right now.
Well, I'm glad you're all right. Like I said, don't feel like
I guess it could be worse, right? It could
Hey.
be worse. And here's the other thing is, like, you're in charge here. It's not, you know, it's their building and stuff, but
person, dude, and I feel like crying right now.
Now, Eric is a diehard skeptic when it comes to the paranormal, but after this experience, he is reluctant to join the others as they head back upstairs. It seems that the Ogden Paranormal team is beginning to provoke some strange, unexplained activity in the abandoned high school. The team splits up and only Tony, Jossam, and Caden remain on the 3rd floor. They try to taunt what they believe could be the spirit of the school's former principal. That's when things get truly bizarre.
You think it's okay to lock them in a closet? Because it's not okay. What was that?
that sounds like a chair.
Yeah. What was that? What was that?
Just a chair.
Yeah.
The sound of a chair sliding across the floor can be heard, and soon after an EVP follows that seems to greet them. What makes this incident so strange is that this isn't the only time they hear the mysterious chair. When they are on the 2nd floor, they hear this.
Yes, you did. Is no one tripping out about that sound upstairs?
That squeaky sound?
It sounded like a chair sliding.
Then again later, this.
Are you up there?
Because there are many chairs scattered around the high school building, the team is unable to find the exact source of the mysterious sound. But meanwhile, team members Desmond and Eric are investigating one of the high school's classrooms. Desmond asks the spirits of former students a few confrontational questions about the school's cruel principal. Just then, one of their static cameras in the next room catches something very strange.
Has she hit you?
If she was to do that nowadays, she would go to jail.
Right as Desmond says that, our static camera right outside the classroom catches some sort of shadow or mist near the toy trigger objects. It's pretty faint, but if you look near the bottom half of the screen, you'll see a mist-like anomaly go from right to left towards the piano. We'll play it on a loop so you can more easily see it.
So did the Ogden paranormal team capture a shadow apparition on camera? Are former students or maybe even the malicious principal still haunting the school hallways? Let me know what you think.
All right. What do you guys think?
Well, like, so with the first couple chair noises, I was like, oh, that could be anything. But then the last time it was a lot louder. I'm like, that's definitely a chair sliding. So that was kind of interesting. But with that shadow moving across, I didn't see anything moving across. It was very faint, and I don't know if that was really anything.
Yeah, I think they tried too hard on that little mist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you, Steve?
Well, so I've heard actually about this high school before, and I've like looked into it a little bit, and people actually getting sick, like visiting it, was something common that like was brought up from people that have right. But that was brought up a couple times, and I'm like, that's just weird how you just all of a sudden would get sick.
Yeah.
Maybe your nerves got to you or something, or I don't know, but getting sick was something that was like commented a lot on. And then yeah, they would bring up that the kids would get like physically punished at this like high school, which sounds fucking terrible. And so I'm like, that's like something that they mentioned too that happened. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, only because I've previously known a little about this. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't I wouldn't say it's not possible here, only because I've like seen different perspectives, I guess. And now that you bring it up too, I'm like, oh, so this is something I've now seen a few times. Like that's random. It's just random, and like to think it's a chance kind of like puts it into a spotlight.
What do you think, Joe?
I mean, there were some things that I was like, this is interesting. Like the whole getting sick thing, I didn't know that beforehand, and now that kind of sounds really interesting. Like, because he doesn't seem like you go there to shoot these videos to try and search for ghosts. Why are you gonna like tap out now and pretend to be sick or something like that? It's kind of weird. So that's and some of the things were like, man, I just think they were kind of trying too hard at some points in this. They were like maybe like they weren't getting enough action, so they were like faking some things. But like overall, I don't know.
Yeah. What about you, Zach?
Yeah, I agree. That was it was interesting. How I thought it was kind of dumb how he kind of tapped out. I kind of thought, well, like, you know, that's seems a little staged. But then hearing that, you know, people would get sick after visiting there, kind of clicked, made more sense, and made it seem a little bit more possible.
Fair enough.
This series of videos have been compiled and sent to me by Francesca Velantes.
This is good.
She told me that the man was documenting a really terrifying haunting that was taking place in his apartment. One night he heard really odd knocking noises, which could not be explained. As it kept happening for several nights, he started filming and eventually shared this footage online. This night the noises seem to be stemming from his bathroom. So of course Danny grabs his phone again and starts investigating. Why wouldn't he?
I would turn on the lights.
Yeah.
Oh, I would move.
Nothing that could be seen at the time. So he makes it back into bed and hopes for the best, but no. Now it gets really terrifying for him.
El garrapatas.
Y la rona.
Is this supposed to be shot on a cell phone? Because it's very steady.
I don't know.
No, he's got a camera crew.
He would be shitting.
And he makes it out of there as fast as he can.
Shot on iPhone.
Now, what are we looking at here?
It's that basement lady thing.
It was gonna get her.
My first thought was that this can't be real.
Ooh.
Oh,
Look at these
shit.
eyes.
How did you miss that?
The eyes of a demon? Probably just a film project. Hopefully.
You see it receding?
But if it was not, this is a really terrifying
Oh,
shadow
wait.
apparition.
It was on the bed.
Maybe it is demonic. Like some of his viewers stated in the comments.
Fucking
But the way
Insidious
the
is
hair
what it is.
interacts
Like
with
Ursula
the
from
bedding
Little Mermaid.
is pretty humanoid.
Oof.
Alright, what do you guys think about that?
I think it was, I don't know, I think it was staged. The fact that he had his camera set up just perfectly right before the door swung open. And then, I don't know, the hair or whatever it was slowly dragging up a bit. Seemed a little too theatrical.
Have you guys noticed that we either point out that the camera's too shaky and we want the camera to be too stable, want it to be stabilized, and then when the camera's stabilized, we're like, wait a minute, this is too fishy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when the door opens, he moves the camera away from the door, which would give somebody, maybe they could come in and then do the, or maybe they're hiding under the bed the whole time and just waiting for them.
Wouldn't you hear them? And I'll keep referring back to the sound part, but what did you
Well, what if they're like already in the room and like open the door from the bottom? Like what if they're like already laying on the floor and you don't see the bottom of the bed and they swing the door open?
Here's an interesting perspective. So, the guy has a flashlight of sorts, right? So wherever he points it, it reflects, and the door seems to reflect some, it reflects a little bit. Like you see right here, little light, especially over here in the door, this and that. Okay. So you're looking at me, and you see light reflect from my face. No matter how dark I am, you still see some features of my shirt. Even with Joe, you still see the features on his black shirt and his hair and stuff. So, wouldn't you think that if the camera was pointed at whatever this is with the flashlight, you would get some reflections back? Because it seems like whatever it is completely dark, like matte black, like dark. Something.
Don't you get that on the wall though?
You could still get some features because you still see the wall back here. You see depth, but with her, you don't see anything. If I can get it to where, so whatever it is, there's no. You just see the. It's like a Jawa from Star Wars.
Yeah. I was thinking too.
But there's nothing, no texture, no depth to see what else is. It's just a blackest of black with two beady eyes, which puts me on a fence.
It's that cat from that basement video.
Pinche cat.
I just think that.
Oh my god, the eyes are kind of similar too.
I think it would have been maybe more believable without the eyes, maybe just the shadow. It's like, I don't know, maybe there's something about the eyes that like creep people out, and so like why does it need to have eyes? Like if it is an entity or whatever, like It could just be a shadow. Like
It went from like 0 to 100 in this video. Like it went from knocking doors to having eyes and a shape. Like that's a big leap.
Yeah, and him walking down the hallway, like in the beginning part, just seemed so staged. The way it was like perfectly shot. There wasn't shaking camera, and it just seemed like someone was holding an actual video camera.
But isn't that what we wanted?
Yeah, but that doesn't feel real.
I mean, I'm a videographer.
Okay, but you
would expect me to record a decent video of whatever was in front of me.
You wouldn't be shitting bricks.
Yeah, but I don't expect everyone that's recording these things to be a videographer.
Maybe deep down inside, we all know it's real, but our brains just can't comprehend that. So they try to find any excuse they can to justify that it's fake.
Javi, if you are getting haunted, you're gonna say that you're not gonna be shitting bricks and shaking, recording this shit.
I would be like those Mexicans back there, just cursing until I find a way out.
Oh, they're fucking shaking. We both know it. All right.
Yeah.
Would be
Those are our cousins. We know they're fucking shaking.
Yeah.
So you would too. As good as the videographer.
Yeah.
You're gonna be fucking.
I would throw my phone at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, exactly. There you go.
Bam.
See.
I would kick it.
See if it's real.
Yeah. There would be a kick.
What if? Okay, let's say you kick it. What if your foot went through? Huh?
When you move.
Then what? Do you run? You kick again?
I wouldn't even have a person to be out the door already.
You move. You move back to Mexico.
Damn. All right, let's go to the next one real quick.
This video was posted by 303 Paranormal TV, and Rick has forwarded it to me. It says demons, supernatural energy outside and inside the Green Mountain estates, and the description says that they came across a demon within this house. It's pretty unsettling. Let's listen in a little bit. So the channel owner is on a paranormal investigation in this home with his team.
Look at that. See that?
Mm-hmm.
I heard that too. I thought that was one of you though.
It's in this door.
Can we hear that again?
Can you show yourself to my camera, please?
Really?
And whatever, but like that's dust. You'll see the ones that move.
I've heard that.
Like dust. You'll see the ones that move though.
Like super thick.
They're real.
Twice?
I don't hear anything.
What was that? Someone's breathing.
Look at that. See that?
Mm-hmm.
I heard that too. I thought that was one of you though.
It's in this door. Like behind this door.
White people.
Can you show yourself to my camera, please?
They make up the stupidest shit.
Yeah, I hear that. There's another.
This door is that? That's where it growled. Behind the door.
Come say hi to me.
It growled and it went.
There's one time when my mom, that's her room.
Or just shot right out this way.
So they also
Oh my
appear
God,
to have a member with them that lives in that house, or a family member of that person lives in that house. So it was her mom, and now they said it's apparently coming from this corridor.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I hear a man's voice.
You can see him shooting at me.
And I'm like, did she invite somebody over? And like, that's cool, you know, she's allowed to do that.
I'm so confused. Wow! What is that?
Oof!
Look at that, it's like a black something digging around from besides the corner. Is that an eye?
So it goes back to the whole it's so dark you can't even make out anything other than the silhouette.
We'll say though that the camera's perfect, not too shaky, not too still. That's what I want to see paranormal video. Perfect camera right there.
So it
But
wins an
once
Oscar.
again, it's like this little shadow that peeks out and goes back in. Like, why? Like,
You barely see an eye in whatever this is, a face or something. And this is at brightness, whatever he had. I don't know, because I know, and I keep referring back to my parents and their stories. They know that if you, they meaning the ghosts and such, that if you kind of give them, it's like my kid, when he's being bad, and if I give him attention, he'll keep doing whatever he's doing because he does it for attention. But if you ignore him, beat his ass later. No, I'm just kidding. If you just ignore him, he'll stop. So with this guy saying, "Show yourself" and all that stuff. I mean, if I was a demon, I'd be doing this type of stuff too, trying to freak them out.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think that whenever I see videos like that, I always think that, you know, what would be the purpose behind that? Because I would think that supernatural and demons and things would move with some sort of purpose other than just to, you know, get attention. You know what I mean? I think it's more believable when you see footage of, you know, demons that are, you know, in graveyards doing something in particular. But when it's something like, oh, you know, peekaboo kind of thing, it's like, what would be the purpose behind that other than just drawing attention to itself? So I don't know how believable that is.
I don't know if it's like a demon per se, but like I think these videos where it's like there's like a group of people kind of there and they're exploring, and it seems more realistic to me.
The man came across a lonely woman who also was wearing a white dress and catching the man's attention. They followed her over the graveyard until she disappeared into the darkness, not to be seen again.
What? These guys.
Seemingly joking, I bet these guys would have reacted differently would they have come across the woman by themselves.
¿Quién eres? A ver, dime tu nombre. ¿Quieres que vaya?
I think she
That
was
definitely. Yeah, I've seen videos like that on YouTube though, of like down in Central and South America, where they you see like witches and the witch doctors kind of roaming around doing witchy things.
Witchy things. All right, Steve.
I don't know. When
Didn't
I
give us
see,
much to work with, huh?
Well, when I think of like a lady at night in a white dress, I mean,
La Llorona.
Yep, that's the shit. Like, I grew up knowing. I mean, my aunt used to live near a creek, and she used to say she used to hear that shit all the time. I'm like, you're crazy. You're that aunt. You're the crazy aunt. But
I mean, disregard your dad. You're that crazy aunt.
They actually didn't live too far from each other. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that shit. I mean, again, I mean, it didn't seem like the guys in the video were like, oh, we planned this. Like, they were taunting at her, like, this is fake. Like, you're not real. Whatever you're doing is BS. But on her end, it could have very much so been real.
Yeah.
And they're like, all of a sudden be like, oh fuck, we're gonna like run away, because that's what you do. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's a thing that I've heard of, and I know since I was a kid. But I mean, shit like that, I believe does happen all the time in like Latin America. Like, I believe it. I believe that weird shit happens all the time. Not saying that it's like not. It could be very much a spirit entity, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It could be a witch herself. I don't know, but I believe it does happen. Yeah.
You could have been sleepwalking.
Yeah.
You know, who's a psychiatric patient or something. You know, just walking.
and nobody bats an eye. Like, oh yeah, it's her again. So, Joe, to bring you up to speed on this, there's this Mexican legend called La Llorona.
Oh, I know La Llorona.
Okay. So, growing up, my mom would always tell me, curfew is at a certain time because you're not supposed to be out past a certain time. And I would always ask her, why? And she would tell us because bad things always happen at night. Nothing good ever happens. So she would always say, when you go to bed, do not look out the window. Just whatever you hear, just whatever. And I never understood that until one day I just asked her, why did you always tell us this? And then she told us that when she was young, she would hear crying. And my grandpa would always tell her, whatever you do not open the curtains. Because if you do, you're not gonna like what you see outside. If you hear noises or whatever, if you hear somebody get shot, if you hear a cow moo or a cat meow, don't even look out there. Given in the space that they were living at, I buy that. But that's one of those things where we were told, if you see someone roaming out in the streets and you're looking out the window, 50-50 chance you'll make eye contact with whatever it is. But yeah, on a second note, did you notice that these people on one clip, they were on the street taunting her, and then on the next clip, they're on the rooftop of some building with like this big old spotlight on her, like you can't hurt me now.
Was that what that was?
Yeah, they were like on some rooftop or something. Let me see if I can go back real quick.
It was kind of funny.
See, they're like almost level with this. And in the first clip, they're right here. So, boom. But what do you think?
It's funny because I would be more scared, I think, in a situation like that than, that kind of stuff I think scares me more than, supernatural shit. Because I think at the end of the day, no one really knows whether the supernatural shit is real. But, if you're walking and you see somebody out in the middle of the dark acting weird, that's the kind of shit that'll really scare you.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same thing with those people who are like going into abandoned buildings and you hear something and I'm like, what if there's just like a homeless person in there? That's kind of just as scary as a ghost.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
I agree. Yeah, that I've always wondered that too. I'm like, what if it is just a hobo and it's gonna fucking freak you out if you see them, if they just pop out of fucking nowhere. Yeah, I agree.
It happened to my dad once. So he used to work for a business where they would assess homes that were foreclosed and just sitting on the land for a while. And he was one of the inspectors and such. So he went in and has the key, opens the door, smells raunchy because no ventilation in there, paint is peeling, all that musty smell. And he goes through his usual protocol, and one of them is to say, hello, anybody in here, just so that way he establishes that nobody's there. And he said that he's going through all the rooms just to make sure that nothing has been stolen, like copper pipes that have been ripped out or stuff like that. And he goes to the basement and he opens a closet, and this homeless man jumps at him in the basement. I don't know how that happened. And my dad's reaction was to punch him in the face. And he punched him in the face. He just shoots out of the building. And he's like, I'm not going back to that building ever again. But he says he hit the guy so hard on the face, he hurt his knuckle. So, yeah. Good luck, homeless man.
I'd probably do the same. But...
Yeah. This should be the last clip, and then I'll let you guys go.
This TikTok series was recorded by Camilo Pugliato He was quarantined in an hotel for a couple of days
all
in
these
April,
Mexicans?
and he started to hear some really odd noises in the middle of the night. And there were also smells that weren't really pleasant, to say the least. To make it all a bit more eerie, he seemed to be the only guest. Weird, isn't it? Let's check it out.
¿Qué es esta? Dale, enfoca, 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 enfoca. Ahí está. Puta, qué asco. Oye, no tiene ni idea cómo huele este lugar.
Camilo decided to check this place out a bit more thorough, because he actually couldn't believe that this room was empty, because the noises were really loud. So what gives? And where did the strong odor originate from? In the end, he wasn't really sure what was causing all of this. And he concludes that he will try to move out of the hotel soon. And at that moment, we can see something weird in the background. Is it paranormal?
Escucho esa mierda por las noches, todas las noches, weón. Y es muy raro, weón. Muy putamente raro. Weón, ¿qué es esa mierda? ¿Qué es esa mierda, weón? ¿Qué es esa mierda, weón?
Taking a closer look makes us realize that there's a shadow moving out of that closet. Is it related to everything going on here? Of course, we have to acknowledge that it is a bit suspicious, the way the camera is angled, straight to the closet. What a coincidence, right? But on the other hand, it's also a pretty odd occurrence to come across an empty hotel. What do you guys think? Let me know.
All right. Wait, there's one more. Oh shit! All right, we'll oh, La Llorona, part 2. All right. So what do you guys think about that?
I think that's fake. I mean, if you're gonna talk to the camera, you're gonna be looking face on, and then the fact that just coincidentally he's got the camera pointed over his shoulder, I think there's kind of a setup.
Yeah, I agree.
No. What do you think, Steve? You look undecided.
Well, it just I thought it was weird how he checked that closet and then all of a sudden moved again. I didn't believe him too much. Yeah, like the over the shoulder thing is why are you talking to the side of your phone rather than head on, and then all of a sudden that bottle falls or whatever like that. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I think I spoiled it for everybody what the next clip was. But here we go.
When another bunch of friends pass by a local graveyard next to a chapel, they capture this recording of an eerie woman in a white dress standing on the sidewalk.
That graveyard. And they're Mexican.
The guy's telling him to go.
They're screaming.
He's like,
There
you go.
It's creepy as hell.
Yeah. See, that would I would start sprinting.
By, the cameraman notices a strange noise behind him and captures this.
Oh shit!
That the same video?
Yeah, in the back seat.
Oh, that's in their car?
Yeah. Remember, they're driving down the street.
Yeah,
and
because he told them to arranca. Arranca means like go, like fucking go.
That seems very typical, though, of the story that they typically tell about.
Let's play it again.
If you see a woman like that, don't pick her up, or if you don't look, because if you look, then she ends up in your back seat. Like,
well, where do you think these stories came from?
I'm not gonna fucking turn around and take the long way. I'm just gonna drive past her, and she better not fucking do anything.
Better yet,
was
why
there
make
anything
eye
in the video
contact?
about what happens after they saw it in their car? Like, does it disappear, or do
I don't know. Because look, they're sitting in the car, they're talking.
Yeah, they're in the car now.
And then, boom. It's like the skull with the hair in the dress.
It's really hard to tell with the way it's filmed, like where that is.
That in the car part is weird.
Yeah.
It's weird that she's outside to begin with, but I mean,
I would want to see what they did, after they saw it, in the car. Like, here, did they kick it?
Yeah, because if the original like video cuts right after that, then that's definitely a fake. Why wouldn't they post them getting out of the car or anything?
I don't know. I mean, imagine driving by at night and you see some weird bride lady waving at you, and you make eye contact, and you do one of these, and you're like, "Oh no, Becky," and you turn, and it's like right there. Yeah.
He did tell him to go.
Yeah, this proves a lot of these Hispanic legends and stories that we were told growing up about, nothing good happens at night, all this and that. And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, I never really paid attention to any of that shit. Like now, like I hear about it. I'm like, I remember hearing that, but I mean, I'm not gonna give into it. But I mean, I know many people have heard about it too. But again, I'm not like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna just because you heard it and I heard it, I'm gonna believe it. But I mean, again, sometimes it is. Like you think, I mean, maybe there's a chance. Like my dad could have been right. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm not gonna be like, no, you were wrong the entire time.
Imagine walking on the way home from work at night, and then would you keep going, or would you turn around and then walk the other way?
Turn around.
If I saw that a mile away, I would take the next street.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wait.
We'll make my route longer. I don't give a shit. No.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
If there was an Uber, I would Uber, but I would just take a burro.
Yeah.
Take a burro across the street.
Take the homeless man's burro.
Just grab a fucking donkey, whatever you can get. Just fucking get out of there.
That's what I said.
Convince a stray dog to go first, and then see what happens.
That dog from Coco. I swear, all those dogs in Mexico look like that dog from Coco, like the
You're not. Yeah, they do. You're not wrong.
You don't know where they live, but they show up for parties like
all the time. They're just always around,
and they're barking like crazy. But you don't hear them barking in regular weekdays. But when there's a 7-day party, show up. Bring your posse. Poop all over the place. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
But
I just want some carne asada.
Oh, yeah, this guy knows. But anyways, I'll let you guys go because I know it's late. It's almost 10:30. But thanks again for stopping by. Hopefully we could do this again next week, which